In today's video, future grandmasters will be analyzing the match between Hikaru Nakamura and Jawakhir Sindarov. Now, obviously you know that I'm one of the top players in the world, but recently I haven't been getting too many invitations. So maybe like Hikaru, I should just retire and be a professional content creator. So let me know in the comments what you think I should do. So let's get into the game. He's playing white in the first game. This is obviously Fischer random. The pieces are shuffled randomly to avoid theory. It is an interesting game. I don't think I like, classical Fischer random. For me, is a bit redundant. I think that obviously the main issue with classical chess is that it's slow, boring, and theoretical. But I have enjoyed playing Fischer random rapid. So it's interesting to see sort of the dynamic. So f4, opening up the bishop. This is sort of a very logical way to start. Knight c6 is a bit of a weird move. Usually you want to sort of symmetrical plays, usually quite okay. But knight c6, e4, e5, takes, knight c3. Black should have played f5 to challenge the center. Instead he went bishop b4, trading the bishop for the knight. And now the pawn is sort of isolated and weak, but you do have the bishop pair. It's unclear, sort of. Obviously, when the king is on b8 and b1, it's sort of already castled. Usually, when the king is in the center, it's really important to bring it to safety. But now, you can sort of always maybe lift this rook. Obviously, if you could teleport this rook here, there's no need to castle. So g3, bring the bishop to g2 to protect the e4 pawn. Knight to d3. Now he starts to take space on the queen side. Obviously, if black sort of extends too much, then castling queenside wouldn't be ideal. He castles queenside anyways. Now queen f1. This was kind of a weird move. I don't know. For me, b3, king b2. The queen is sort of fine on e1. Here, Sindarov starts to play sort of really weird. He spends a minute and a half to play bishop c4. Probably sort of out of desperation. He gives away. He trades the bishop for the knight, improving white's pawn structure. Obviously, if this is a rapid game, but it's quite counterintuitive to go to fix the pawn structure and give the two bishops. Queen e6, king b2, rook a3. Here again, Hikaru gave in his recap in his interview, he sort of was talking about how he whenever position gets low in time, he's not as effective. And this is certainly online in a blitz game. Hikaru is very, very sort of tactically alert, and I would expect him to find. Obviously here, now you have d5, counterattacking the queen. In an online game or blitz game, someone of Hikaru's level, you would expect something like this to be quite sort of like instinctual. But to see sort of king c2, and then again in this position, the knight is completely trapped, and it was a bit weird that he has 2 minutes and 30 seconds here, and he said that he played bishop d4 in 2 seconds, and I think that obviously Hikaru has always been a blitz specialist, but one negative side effect from playing too much 3+0, which is Hikaru's main time control, in which I try not to play too much of. For example, if you saw my recent matches against Danya, or you might have seen I haven't been playing that much 3-0. Against Danya, I try to play 3-1. Because when you play a lot of games, or Hikaru plays a lot of matches against sort of FMs, IMs, and he tries to beat them like 10 games in a row, but he's playing with that increment. So when you're playing with that increment, you develop a lot of bad habits, especially when you're playing against people much worse than you. If you look at Hikaru's sort of like the reason why he can go on these 30, 40, 50 game win streaks is because he's playing opponents who are far, far worse. And when you play against people who are much worse than you, and you play a time control that relies on flagging, you lose a lot of the objective decision making that actual serious chess with increment, that part of like the mindset, just you sort of build bad habits, right? And in this position to have 2 minutes and 30 seconds and sort of recognize the critical, complicated position is, to blitz out a move like this in 2 seconds is like, is insane. Especially a move that gives away the entire advantage. So I would say that obviously when I learned a lot from playing online, but this was just not playing Queen B5 is just, and then playing Bishop B4, it's unconscionable. And then obviously when you play C5, you want to put on the brakes, but things just sort of spiral, trading the bishop for the knight. Now this bishop is terrible. The knight is sort of stuck, but it's hard to punish. And even B6, the knight could come to D6 to pressure on the E4 pawn. Rook E1, Queen D6, and then again just spiraling. This king is not the safest piece, and after Queen B6, he probably just blundered C4, and then the queen's coming in. So he just has to give away all the pawns, but everything. Now Rook G5 is a very strong move. Just sort of queen's basically trapped. And then this, the pawn pushes. He had a nice tactic, sort of deflecting. Not here, sorry. Deflecting this, and then take the pawn, and the game's over. So again, in the opening, Hikaru obviously is a great practical player. So he gets away with a lot of things, but Sindarov is very talented and he's very strong, and you're gonna get punished eventually, right? When you play like this, and it's honestly surprising. It's surprising these types of mistakes. I would say that it's probably a symptom and something to sort of pay attention to for a lot of players, to be wary of how much blitz they play. It's it's sort of a Soviet trope. To not play blitz, although I disagree. I think with increment, blitz is good, but the time management here is it just doesn't make any sense. We can go to the next game. So we can go from Hikaru's perspective. So C4, attacking the pawn on H7. You should always sort of do a blunder check in the beginning to see if any pieces are hanging. And again, G6, very weird. Instantly, it's just weird. Obviously, certain opening principles apply, but usually playing G6, especially considering that B3 is this is how the bishop's going to open up, and then also the knight, you're going to have to sort of develop this way. Again, it's just quite weird, sort of giving up any central space. Sindarov again plays G4, which wouldn't really be my taste. I would, something simple like B3, and then just F4, very simple chess would be my sort of in this opposition. But G4 is certainly creative. C5, and then now Queen G7. You have to. I think Hikaru is a very talented practical player, so he gets away with a lot of the stuff in time control. But again, Queen G7, B5. This is very interesting and very ambitious. And in a must-win game, you have to take these chances. Obviously, the engine doesn't exactly describe is it the best evaluation position. But anyways, bishop b4, d5. He should have played b4 first, and then sort of going back. But instead of he allowed bishop b5, and then now you can't really move b4, so this bishop is stuck. So although you're down a pawn, again, it's not exactly clear where. Obviously, you don't even have to castle, but it's already potentially unpleasant. Again, here, castle's a bit weird. This knight is sort of loose. Rook c8 would have been very natural, just kicking the knight out and then castling. And then this is sort of, I feel this, again, this bishop is just so bad. Although this knight, again, is a major issue, right? You can point to the first move that, you need to bring, this knight is stuck in h8. It's not really playing the game. So knight f5. Here, Sindarov finds an interesting idea, takes knight e6. Which keeps equality, but again, this bishop is just a serious issue. The king potentially weak. You have to play very delicate chess. And as you can see here, oops, sorry, I spoiled the game. But you've probably already watched Rook have one mistake after Rook g4 and the game's lost. He trades the queen to promotes. He does get 2 pawns. For me, the craziest moment was this, where he has 1 minute and 30 against 23 seconds, and he spends a minute like this. Online, Hikaru tends to have very good time management skills, and he never really gets in time pressure. And when he gets in time pressure, he handles it very well. But over the board, again, it's a different game. to spend a minute here, like f6 is sort of an automatic move. To spend a minute here is it's been insane. And obviously when I beat Hikaru in the World Rapid and Blitz, he obviously got into time pressure and choked in a very similar way. So again, this position, like taking the pawn, it's not that practical. But even here, like rook b8, again, another symptom of playing a lot of online blitz is that you always go for the most forcing lines. So when you play like 3+0, and this is something that Danya does and that other people do, is that you always go for like forcing lines because you don't want to think. So he just thinks like, okay, how do I like king e8 is like, oh, this is what could happen, But rook b8 is like forcing. Like they take and then I take, and this whole like take. It's that type of mindset can isn't always going to be positive. And now he blunders, and then he's just losing. So this is sort of a very difficult match. Sindarov obviously having a great performance recently, very impressive play, and Hikaru seems to be struggling to keep his nerves together, especially over the board. So I saw in a clip he said he's considering retiring. I don't know. I think that the thing with classical chess is that he is the number 2 ranked. He's the number 2 rating, although he doesn't really play much. So considering that there's no rating decay, Hikaru could play 2 tournaments a year to try to qualify for the Canada Junior World Champion without really risking his rating much. Obviously, I think that there should be rating decay to prevent that, but we'll see how long Hikaru plays. In online blitz, he seems to still be a very strong player, so I don't think he'll stop playing that. Although I wouldn't, I don't know if all the competition in Title Tuesday in the Peaches Championship is welcomed, and I do hope to take revenge. So thank you guys all for watching. I've got some big plans for the channel, so make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and to all future Grandmasters, good luck on your journey, and I will see you all soon.